Alright, this is Diane and I'm back to show the next 4 Traveler's Notebook journals that will be released on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, March 3rd. This one, I used the cover from a vintage paperback, I would say from the 70s by the looks of it. And it has a lot of like travel labels down here, so I decided to make it into a travel journal. I love the bright colors in there. I used this pretty marbled cardstock. I got this at Walmart actually. It's from the Colorbach line. And there's a piece of gray fabric behind it with big dots, just to kind of work between the bright cover and the bright background. And there's a piece of the lime green ribbon there too. And I covered up some of the info right here with a little cut apart there, and I tied it up with a green, pale green see-through ribbon. So I put this glassine craft envelope in there, and there's a little tag in there, remember the moment. Some of the papers, the cut aparts, all came from a Teresa Collins pad that I bought a few years ago. Let me grab it and show it to you. It's called Travel Documented by Teresa Collins. It has some nice papers in it and lots of cut aparts. And I'm going to Alaska this year so I can make myself a journal with it. But on the front of the bag I put this card that says Travel Log. And then this is also from that pad. It says destination, then a place for the date. This paper is from that pad, and I love that it has the banners made from maps. This is a stamp that I have. It says went to, and then you can check the mountains, the city, the beach, or the desert. And this is from the pad. It's just got a lot of travel words and phrases here, and I cut this out and stitched it on it. And then I made this little journaling card from a index card. I glued this little piece on that says sightsee, and then stamped some arrows. You see the pattern in that paper? So I took the leftover piece of that map banner page and cut it in half and then stitched it on here so the banners continue on down the page, and made these tags with little half index cards. It says travel notes, and on the back I stamped this journal stamp that says itinerary, date, what did I see, places I went, cool things, and people I met. This one says what we saw, and on the back it just says where we went. There's a little piece of glue there, little sack that I got at Hobby Lobby at their clearance sale, and I love this paper, and I thought it really went well with the colors in her scarf and the feel of this cover. And I stamped a definition for travel and a little compass there. This is a fun little travel journal that you can carry in your bag. Made a pocket out of the leftover piece of this paper and stitched on this little tag that says this way. And I took a cut off of this paper and just folded it up. It says date of travel in there, and then I glued on this piece. I didn't do a lot of decorating in this book because I wanted you to be able to add whatever you wanted to in here. There's a globe and an arrow. Here's a piece of a vintage map. I reinforced it where it's folded here and also where it's folded here. So you could glue pictures on this or tickets or whatever. Here is, I think it's vintage. Somebody sent this to me. It looks vintage. Airmail envelope. And inside the envelope I put a lot of the extra cutouts, so you can add them in the journal wherever you want to. Since I didn't decorate it a lot, I wanted to include a lot of things that you could use. So there's lots of words, some cards, some just things from that Teresa Collins pad that you can use in your journal. And then you can put whatever you want in there after you remove those. There's some what is that? An arrow and a luggage tag with some space for journaling. There's a glassine bag here that I left empty for you to put some tickets or something. And this card with a map on it and journaling lines. I took the perforated flap off of a jeweler's envelope and just stapled it there and added this journaling card. It's a trip meter, so you can rate what you thought of the trip. Wow factor, chill factor, would I do it again? And on the back it says explore. And there is the jeweler's envelope that I took the little flap off. You can put whatever you want to in there. I did not decorate this at all. I left that up to you. But I like it just the way it is. I like the simplicity of it. So there's arrows stamped on there. And then on the back cover, there's a little pocket. It says Wander, and a couple of cards that you can tuck in the pocket with little tabs. And I made this pocket with my Cricut. And along with this, I made these little booklets to go with each of the traveler's notebooks, but there was no place to put it in here. On the other ones, I put it on the back, but because I put that on there, I couldn't do it. So I'm just including this with your journal. Love the bright colors on that. This is vintage, and I think the red and white polka dot is vintage, and then this blue lace is vintage. And this red button is vintage, and so is this fabric at the top, if those things matter to you. And this is a piece of muslin that I colored myself with alcohol inks, just a scrap. And then some scraps of paper that you can use to make journaling cards or embellishments with. So all of this is included with that journal. Then I have the 3 journals that I made featuring the pages from a book about fountain pens, and I really love the way these turned out. For all of them, I used pages from, I can never remember the name of this paper pad, and this one is upside down. It's top hats, but we can just pretend that this gentleman set his hat down with the brim up. I don't think it's too bad. These tend to crack when you fold them, so I put muslin, coffee dyed muslin, and stitched it on. So I really like the way that looks on the spine. What was I saying about these? I don't remember. Anyway, this book about fountain pens, I took images out of it and made, well, I decorated the covers with them and then made some embellishments that you'll see, and then used the pages within the journals. This is from Nick the Booksmith, that little printable label. Write to them with a Parker. On the inside of each cover is a vintage envelope from, this one says 1946, or 1940, I'm sorry, this was blurred. They're all written to the same woman, and she kept them in a scrapbook, and one of my subbies sent me the scrapbook full of envelopes, and I'm working on getting them out of the scrapbook. And I thought, how perfect for a book about fountain pens. Maybe this was written with a fountain pen to include these envelopes. And then this is a copy of a sheet of vintage labels that I have. And then I colored the tags with Distress Oxide inks and stamped on them. And I have this wide vintage cream colored lace, and so I put that in the tops of the tags. So this pen came from the book. I just fussy cut it out and glued it onto this script paper and made it into a little side pocket. This was cut from a piece of digital paper, so I used the cutoffs from that to put in these tuck spots. Love this picture from the book. There's one of my stamps of a bottle of ink. This is one of the book pages, and I just glued on some coffee dyed paper that you can write on. It's glued over the text. Another one of my label images. There's a little coin envelope here, and I tucked a little piece of coffee dyed grid index card in there. For the stenciling, I used 2 colors and 2 stamps, or 2 stencils on each page that I stenciled. Can you see? There's some of the vintage photo, and then one of my Stampin' Up, kind of a burgundy color. Looks more pink here. But I used 2 different stencils for that. Look at that fancy pen. It's got a snake on it. I made this little embellishment with one of my stamps and a scrap of manila card, manila file folder. Punched it out with my little label punch and added these little merchandise tags. This was made with a coffee dyed index card, and I just stamped a number on it. Got a little bit of glue stuck there. My ATG tape, you can rub it right off. I wonder how these felt to hold. I bet it looks thick. Maybe a man would write with that pen. There's a pretty pen that I have on a stamp. I stamped the images on coffee dyed tracing paper and just glued them down, and they kind of look like they're part of the paper, but there's just a different, I don't know, I like the way they look glued down. Don't know how to describe it. There's a pen at the bottom of this paper that I used, this digital. And I made this embellishment out of the manila file folder also. Just inked the edges and stamped on it. Put a little bulb pin with a little coffee dyed jewelry tag on it. And there is a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera tag, and I have to ink the back of that, but it's Tsunami Rose printable. Appleton's Standard System of Penmanship. And I just put one of my labels there, and there's another stamped image on tracing paper. I think I said tissue paper on the video where I showed my embellishments. I just made a little collage here that you can journal on and write some information there. And there's another pen. This one was stamped on coffee dyed paper, not tracing paper, just regular paper. And there's the back with a little stamp there, and here's the book, little booklet that I made. This is coffee dyed muslin. This is very vintage lace right there. I love this piece of fabric with some script on it for this book. So this one will be called Write to Them. I'll just call this one Write, because I have to have a different name for each one in my listing. I think I will list these 3 in one listing with a drop-down box. So this one will be called Write, this one will be called Parker, and this one will be called Cross Pen. These 2 will also be one listing with a drop-down box. This one is Iris, this one is Be Authentic, and this one will have its own listing. This one is Parker. I actually have a grandnephew named Parker. So I love this vintage advertisement. It says, buy the Parker fountain pen because it is a good pen. That's pretty straightforward. And there was a little bit of a nick in this edge of the paper, so I edged it with a piece of coffee dyed paper. Just gives it a little extra texture back there. Here is the envelope for this one, and the tag. Love that. Pretty much the same. There's a nice advertisement there. This one I was able to fit this little stamped postcard in there because I didn't put as much glue on it, I guess. It does go in there. Love that paper. Look at all the different types of nibs and the way they write. There's italic nibs, oblique nibs, and standard nibs. Again, I'll have to color the back of that. But this is Specimens of Handwriting, Self-Teaching System, and another of the Tim Holtz tags. There's a little card in there. And here's the little booklet. Love the little flower button. All 3 buttons are vintage. All the fabric on here is vintage except for the muslin. And the lace and ribbons here are not vintage, but this one is. And then the last one is Cross Pen. Cross Pen Company. I love the way this advertisement looks. And I like the paper that I used for the back. Oh, that's what I was talking about. I interrupted myself. It was the paper that I used for the covers. It's a cardstock by, I think it's either Recollections or DCWV, and it was out years ago, and I don't have very many pieces of it left, but it was something street, I think, and it was about men's tailoring. This doesn't look very manly, but it came in that pack. Okay, so let's just go through it. Here is the envelope. 1940 again. This was airmail. Put the little postcard in this pocket. Again, cut out the pen and glued it to the pocket. There's a little card in there. Some tags in there. Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe is companion to the Mona Lisa and comes in a number edition of 7,500 fountain pens. Oh, okay, so they made a pen to match this painting. Cool. Love that script paper. And here is the other page that I have to ink in this book, but it is movement exercises for writing. See how it just has them going back and forth, and then you start writing. I guess it just is to get your pen moving, and then you can keep on moving to form your letters. Wonder how that would work. And a Tim Holtz piece. Here's a late advertisement from the book. And here's the booklet. Okay, so as I said, 6 TN notebooks will be in my shop Sunday, March 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you there. Bye-bye.